Hi, welcome.
Hi, welcome. Thank you.
Oh, I like your podcast voice, Dave. That's
Oh,
fun.
thank you.
Dave, is this your last week of the semester? Are you guys in finals? What are you doing at FLCC?
No, we don't officially have a finals week, so we just, work up until the last minute. So I think the
Nice.
20th is the last day of the semester.
Okay, well, then you still have 10 days left. Okay, you have a week and a half. Oh, well, I guess we kind of do too. Um,
Yeah,
it's madness at our
I
school right
know.
now. It's terrible.
My week started off so nice and calm, and then like I hit mid Tuesday, and I was like,
Oh, that's great. So you had a day and a half then. That's
yeah, I
awesome.
had a day and a
Good for
half, and
you.
I was like, I got the master schedule submitted. Like I can just coast through the end of the semester. No, not at all, not at all, not at all.
Ugh.
I like
I was gonna
closed
ask what.
my office door today and people didn't care. They were just still like, I can see you in here.
I used to when I was at MCC, I was down in the virtual campus, and I,
Yeah.
for lunch, turn my lights off and shut my door, and still people would be knocking on the door.
They,
I mean, that happens everywhere I go, but I think that's just a symptom of now.
You're just like, I'm not here. Like, I can hear you eating.
oh my God. Well, thanks for joining us today.
Oh my goodness! Thanks for having me. I'm a long-time listener, first time contributor, I suppose. Long time,
I'm
first
exci-
time.
I'm excited. One, like this is also our first person that's like we don't work with, but
Yes.
also, like I'm excited to chat with you about like AI, especially if somebody with like a computer science kind of background and experience in that kind of classroom. As somebody who like teaches a coding class, I am like. All of the AI talk is about essays in English and like all of those types of
Yeah.
things, and I'm just like I want to talk about it on my side too.
I know actually really excited about next semester, the vibe coding class we're taking or teaching rather, because it kind of flips everything on its head. And for once, I'm like, oh, there is no cheating. Like, how are you going to cheat in this course? Not that cheating
Wild.
is a big thing. I just know that that's oftentimes
Yeah.
surrounds the conversation of AI.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, wow, this is going to be fascinating because the only way you can cheat is if you're copying off someone. And if you do, it's going to be painfully obvious. So,
Yes.
like, you have these tools. So I'm really excited to see what happens.
That's very cool.
I am excited to hear more about that, and I'm sorry, Amanda, that I jumped straight into work. I was.
We were trying to be social.
Wah, wah.
Go ahead and be social for a little bit. It's fine.
Okay. I was listening. We had an episode come out today, and it was funny because
Oh, I
you
heard
were
it.
like, "Oh, did you?"
Is
Thanks.
this
You're
one about your learners, the different learners in the past?
yes, yes.
Yep.
And Ben was like, "How do I small talk?" Like that was my favorite part. My
Okay,
favorite.
well, you faked it well. You faked it real well.
You did good.
Oh,
You
thanks.
did good.
And I was I'm not laughing, but I was smirking when you were talking about Amanda, the learner you had who kind of fell off their skateboard, I think, and
It was Ben's student.
Yeah, that was my
Ben.
student, but Amanda found them, so it was.
you were like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No." But I used to see a learner kind of skateboarding all over campus, like inside and outside. And in my head, that's who it was. But that was 15 years ago, so it probably wasn't the same.
I hope not.
Yeah.
No.
No. Welcome to Coffee Break Classroom, brewed for higher ed, where teaching meets good vibes. We're just two friends who love our work, our students, and more importantly, a good laugh. Here you can expect a blend of ridiculous classroom stories, a little education research, as well as some practical teaching advice. So grab your coffee, settle in. It sounds like it's going to be a good episode today.
Oh man. All right. Well, I'd like to welcome our 9 listeners. We've been talking about the 9 of them.
I'm sure we're up to
Nice.
like 11 by now.
It's true.
Oh, double digits. All right.
Woohoo! To Coffee Break Classroom, we have a super special guest tonight.
Welcome to Coffee Break Classroom.
Thank you. I've listened to every single episode. I didn't know about your podcast for the first, I don't know, 4 or 5 episodes, and my wife Katie, who works at the college, told me about it. So then I binged. I'm a binge listener.
Wow.
That's awesome. I don't feel like there's enough episodes to binge.
So you're up to 16 now, right? 16?
You're going to be our
Yeah.
21st episode.
No.
Yeah,
21st.
recording purposes. I
Okay.
think we just released like 17 or 18 maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And you are going to be our first episode of the new year.
What? What?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so honored. Thank you. I'm so flattered
Yeah, this
to
was gonna
invited
be our
on.
New Year's resolution, where like we can't put off AI forever. Like we're gonna make it our New Year's resolution to actually talk about it and maybe do a little work with it. So
Oh,
this is where
good.
we're starting.
Good.
Yeah.
That's a perfect attitude. And just remember, you can't AI wrong. So I know a lot of people are a little concerned. They're like, oh, I missed the boat. AI came out 3 years ago, but can't do it wrong.
Oh
All right,
man.
that's fun.
Yeah.
All right, we have a little bit of an intro for you, and then we'll jump into questions.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Dave Ghidiu is a dynamic and forward-thinking educator, technologist, and entrepreneur based in upstate New York. With a career spanning over 2 decades, he has consistently blended innovation, accessibility, and student-centered learning across K-12 and higher education. Currently serving as Associate Professor of Computing Sciences and AI Strategist at Finger Lakes Community College, Dave is known for his commitment to open educational resources, OER, inclusive pedagogy, and the ethical integration of emerging technologies like artificial intelligence. At FLCC, he has spearheaded the development of hands-on lab-based courses in Java, Python, and cybersecurity, and licensed them as free and open materials. His leadership of the college's AI think tank and the founding of the FLX AI Hub reflect his dedication to human-centered AI and its responsible use in education and community development, which is pedagogically informed by his time serving as the director of the Gladys M. Snyder Center for Teaching and Learning at FLCC.
Good job. We're not
Wow.
done yet. We're not done yet. You just
We're not
better
done.
strap
No,
in. Strap in. Dave's earlier roles as an instructional designer for SUNY and Monroe Community College saw him shaping statewide course quality tools like OSCQR, I missed a letter there, the rubric, and supporting large-scale learning management system transitions. His foundation in teaching began in Honeoye Falls, Lima Central School District, where he taught math and computer science, coached multiple sports, I bet one of them is running, and launched a first robotics team demonstrating his passion for experiential learning and youth empowerment. Beyond academia, Dave is a serial entrepreneur and consultant. He co-founded Ryan Educational Technology to support K-12 districts, launched Runner Butter LLC, which we spent a lot of time on this week, I'm not going to lie, to bring creative peanut butter flavors to the market, and created a quirky greeting card brand called This Might Be Wrong. His consulting work with youth-focused nonprofits further underscores his commitment to community impact.
There's some deep tracks in that.
Yeah, I know. I think Amanda will talk about it in a second. Or like, how did we put this together? But a frequent speaker at educational conferences and a guest on podcasts. Hello. Dave is recognized for his engaging style and thought leadership. Students consistently praise his teaching for its clarity, responsiveness, and accessibility. Outside of work, he enjoys hiking in the Adirondacks with his wife and walking there to Vizslas near Rochester, New York. Dave exemplifies the intersection of education, innovation, and community, bringing curiosity, creativity, and compassion to every endeavor. That's our intro.
I am okay. So 2 things. First of all, thank you. That's except for the part about teaching for 2 decades, that makes me sound old. But
Me
I
too.
feel like that's all the time we have today. So thank you very much.
Yeah, we tried to shorten it. We're trying to shorten these down, but we keep finding people who do so much work.
It's true. It's true.
So who'd you hire to do that?
So
like all that detective work.
I know you probably thought that that took me at least a week to put together, but so I went to ChatGPT and I said, I am a podcaster and we are going to be interviewing Dave Ghidiu, who works at Finger Lakes Community College. Can you do a deep dive on Dave and give me a nice, quippy little biography of him? And I hit enter, and most of that is what came up. And that's what I sent to you.
That is wild because I forgot about most of that stuff. I mean, it's all true as far as I recall, but holy smokes.
Come on, how creepy and kind of cool is that?
Oh, it's incredible. AI never ceases to amaze me. And I use it all the time, and 95% of the time I'm like, it'll never answer this,
Right.
and I'm just blown away.
I thought maybe there was like a second Dave Ghidiu because you do so many things. I was like, clearly, like, these are 2 different people that it's stitching together. But no, it's all you.
Well, like Ben said, I've been doing it for over 2 decades, so
Rude.
That's what AI said.
That's
I didn't.
Oh, so now you're blaming AI. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's easy, right?
True.
Uh,
True. Wow.
But yeah, Amanda and I spent like a couple minutes trying to look up like what is a Vizsla.
Oh yeah, that's a dog.
Vizsla.
A Vizsla, is that
Vizsla? Vizsla.
That's cool.
Vizsla, yeah, they're the Royal Hungarian bedwarmers. They're a very active dog. They like to walk about 15 miles a day.
My God. My God.
Not
a lot of
really,
walking.
closer to 3, but yeah, they're high energy.
That's a lot.
It probably feels like 15 after it's like the 4th day in a row of doing it.
Yeah,
That's true. So
yeah, my wife Katie introduced me to Vizslas.
Katie is amazing.
Oh, she does long walks.
Does she?
Well, she hiked the Pacific Crest Trail in 2024.
What a
Wow.
badass. That's very cool.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
2,600 miles and from Mexico to Canada.
Bananas. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
You would have thought she would have brought the dogs at like hiking.
Oh my
too,
God, right?
but-
Twofer,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. But I was stuck home with the dogs.
How long did that take her? I'm sorry. I'm distracted.
This is a whole podcast episode now. It's just about
Tell us about Katie.
It took her about 4 months, and she had to skip a little part because the forest fires kind of closed down the trail.
That'll do it.
So, yeah, so she had to go back and kind of fill in those gaps. But yeah, it took about 4 weeks, just under 4 months rather.
That's wild. That's really cool.
know.
Wow. Well, so wait, Dave, you are like kind of a really interesting person. Can you tell us how you got this interesting and how you found your way into education?
I appreciate you saying that. I grew up in Liverpool, New York, which is outside
Yeah.
Syracuse. And when I was 15, one of the teachers in school approached me. He's like, "Dave, you want to wash dishes at a summer camp?" And I was like, "All right." And it was hot off the heels of me not even getting a job interview at Burger King. So I was like, what am I going to do? So I worked at a YMCA Camp Corps, and I loved it. And I went back for probably another 15 years kind of working there. And I went into education for college. I went to SUNY Geneseo. I'm a SUNY guy.
Me too.
And then, where'd you?
SUNY Geneseo, yeah.
Okay. I graduated in I was there in the 1900s, but I graduated in 2000.
I graduated in 2001. We were there at the same time.
Oh my God. What was your major?
Geology.
Okay.
What was yours?
I was math and computer science.
So did you know my roommate, Sarah Giardina?
I don't know Sarah Giardina. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Was that-
She was a computer science major. Oh, my friend
Okay,
Lisa
well-
Valvo was a math major. It's fine.
Oh, I know Lisa.
That's hysterical.
Yeah. And I also have a twin brother who was there at the same time as and he was computer science as well. So
Oh
he
my
was very well, I
God.
know.
That's
I know, it's
bananas.
wild.
That didn't show up in your bio.
I have a wild twin story from college, actually. Like I had at least 2 sets of friends that were twins when I was in undergrad. But I knew I took math classes with one of them, and I knew the other one was like an English major, and like. So I was walking into the building and I saw who I thought was my friend, and I was just like, "Oh, I thought like, did you forget something? Like you're coming back into the building?" And she's like, "What?
Who are you?
And I was like, "Oh, you must be the twin." And she's like, "Haha, yeah." And like went into the building, and I turned around and I just stared for a while, like because I did not know what had happened in that interaction. And it was the twin. Like they both walked out a second later. So.
Oh man,
Yeah.
it's well, don't trust us for a second. We will do any chance we get. We will fool people.
Awesome.
Yeah, I ended up being Go ahead.
Joke's on you. I'm John. This isn't
Oh,
Dave.
damn it.
Zing.
All right, I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I
that's okay.
interrupted.
So I went to Geneseo, and then I wound up driving around the country for a few years with some of my friends, taking weird odd jobs, and I started teaching in 2003 at Honeyway Falls. And then after 7 or 8 years, I switched to higher ed, and that's when I was at MCC. And I was very fortunate enough to work in the virtual campus, right when we were actually switching from Angel to Blackboard.
I
So
remember
kinda
that
anchor-
transition.
Yeah.
It was a way
It was-
easier transition than Brightspace was for me.
You think so?
Yeah. Yeah, anyway.
I don't remember it being easy, but maybe it was.
Sorry.
Not on your end, probably.
And then I worked for SUNY. I was very fortunate enough to work at SUNY and SUNY Online when they were at the ground level, and we developed the Oscar rubric for quality, which is still used today.
Yep.
It's really remarkable. In fact, Alexander Pickett was on the Top podcast last week just talking about it.
Oh,
so it's
cool.
still kicking out there. And then I'm rounding out my 10th year here at FLCC, and I'd spent 5 years in the Center for Teaching and Learning, and through the just being in the right place at the right time with some of this AI stuff, they happily asked me to kind of spearhead some of the initiatives we have at the campus, and I've been loving it. I get a lot of release time, and we're just
Cool.
killing it. We're working with K-12 schools in the area, working with local companies, we're working with other colleges, we're doing a ton of innovative stuff inside the college, and it's just it's an amazing time. And I feel like my experience as an instructional designer and an educator and a tech nerd, really, this is just the perfect storm for me.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome. Yeah, it sounds like you have a long history like between see now that's my fault, not AI, but like between MCC and FLCC, like you've done a lot of work with community colleges and like faculty around emerging technology. So like what has that experience been like for you, and like what are some of the trends that you're noticing?
Just emerging technologies writ large, or
Sure.
specifically with AI.
I mean, in general, like I think it would be interesting because Amanda said this a couple times where it's just like this is just the new whatever, right? Like AI is just the
Yeah.
new whatever it was before, and everybody used to freak out about, I don't know, when computers started happening, and like that now everybody uses computers
When
for everything, and like
computers
I
started
don't know.
happening.
You said that though before, right?
I
Like
have said that. Like I remember.
yeah.
I mean, well, now I know that we're about the same age, Dave. So like, I remember when like web research first became a thing, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, kids aren't going to know how to do research anymore." And it's not the kids who don't know
Yeah.
how to do research; they just do it way differently. My kids don't know what a card catalog is, but like they still do research. They probably do
Yeah.
more effective research than we did, certainly with card catalogs.
Mhm.
Yeah, and there is some. First of all, I do want to put a plug for card catalogs, and it's a shame that people have lost that because they are just beautiful
Delightful.
pieces of. Yeah, they're incredible. But I kind of liken that too. I read an awful lot on Kindle, and
Mhm.
whenever I talk to a book purist, and just for the record, my wife, the director of the library at MCC, also reads on a Kindle. But a lot of my friends read paper, and they're like, "Oh, you're a traitor," like how dare you? And I think about it, and a lot of the reading I do, especially the nonfiction, I can highlight things, I can leave notes, but more often than not, I find myself, if there's a citation in the book, I always look at the citations. I can engage with it then and there in the moment, and I am 1,000% convinced that I'm a much better reader, and I really engage with it and understand it more because of that digital media. So when you talk about the card catalog, like what a shame it is that people don't have it because they're just so beautiful and gorgeous, but I think you're right there. The way the velocity with which they can explore, the
Yeah,
depth with which they can explore is probably way better.
for sure. For sure.
Yeah, so I think emerging technology in that sense, right? Like,
Yeah.
what have you seen like over your
Many
work and experience?
decades of
I
work.
did not say that this time. I was
We
very
can,
careful.
I appreciate you saying that, Ben. Amanda, oh man. So I have found, and this is true especially at community colleges. So I work an awful lot presenting at different community colleges and community college conferences. People in community colleges love latching onto different things and looking at it and saying, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know this existed, and I am going to use this in my course." And those are, I call those the mavens, the people who will see one or two things out of 50 and be like, "This is what I'm doing in my course." And I see that all the time in community college, and it really warms my heart. And I tell people, especially like high schoolers, uh, that I know in my life, or if I'm working in high school, I'm like, if I had known what a community college was when I was in Liverpool, I would have gone for sure to the community college. I mean, I love
Mhm.
Geneseo, I love my
Yeah.
time there, but it's just a different level of engagement. It's a different level of experience, and I think a lot of that is because like our time, like your time and my time, is really dedicated towards the craft of teaching,
Yeah.
and I don't think you necessarily find that in other places. And so I've been very fortunate to be able to work with very passionate educators within SUNY and specifically community colleges who absolutely love it. And you're right, it's not just AI. It could be something small. I've seen people who are taking Google Drawings and no one even knows what Google Drawings are, and embedding it in their course, and you can make like hotspots, and you can change the image without going into your course. And people are like, this is transformative.
Oh wow.
So anytime there's a technology that you or I might just think it's like a normal, like the most transformative thing, and other people are like, yeah, whatever, we do this is what we do. So that's one of the reasons why I like going out to colleges. But it's because I want to see what they're doing. And nine
Yeah.
times out of 10, whenever you go to college, someone's like, yeah, this is just like a Tuesday for us, and I'm like, I'm blown away. I've never seen people use technology this way.
That's cool.
So the emerging technology, I think, is just because it's getting so vast, people are settling into their niches and really exploiting it and leveraging it for the, every juice of tech drop that they can get.
So maybe 2 months ago, I got an email, and it didn't even really have a lot of branding on it, but it was like, this semester, I've been like super focused on every week. I'm going to try something a little different with AI. Like, I'm going to try a different platform. I'm going to try doing one thing on a couple different, a couple different products. I'm gonna play around with this, and
Sure.
so I got this like week. Do you want to sign up for an AI weekly challenge? And I was like,
Oh, how corporate and institutional! It
right?
sounds awful.
I know. So I was like, I'm game. I'm game for a no risk, like a riddle. I like a riddle once a week. Sure, let's or whatever. I'm gonna do this.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Right? So I signed up for it, and I think it was the second or third one. There was a video you had to click on to watch a little intro, and then I'm like, wait a minute, that's Dave Ghidiu. Like, he's doing the video. I was like, that's crazy. So anyway, I've done it every week. I just got mine today, about using voice memos today. So
have you done? Have you done the voice? Have you used AI with voice before?
So I've used it once before. So I heard on a podcast about this entrepreneur, and basically he has like long conversations with his chatbot all the time, and like, so his prompts are like paragraphs long, because he's talking to them. So I've tried that, and sometimes it's like knock it out of the ballpark, and other times it just kind of falls flat a little bit, and it's too much for the bot. But
yeah, and it's so I think what you're talking about is the AI challenge.
Yes.
I'm hoping that's what
it
you're
is.
talking about.
It is. So anyway, tell us about that.
Yeah, the AI challenge started, and this is actually how I got to where I am today. Okay. So I read this LinkedIn post maybe a year and a half ago, and it was written by a buddy of mine, and it was basically said, don't wait for permission, just like do stuff. Because permission will never come.
Right.
And it was right at this moment when AI was gaining more traction in higher ed, in education. And I actually was not much of an AI user when it first came out. And for me, who's, I'll use technology. I'm on the bleeding edge of technology. But when AI came out, I was like, not for me. So I was like starting to kick the tires, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, like I get it. And then I read this blog post, and I was talking to people on campus, and people were like, yeah, we're kind of using it, not really, whatever. So I came up with this AI challenge, and once a week I emailed people. And the same thing, I sent an email. I'm like, hey, do you want, if you want to join this thing, I'll email you something once a week. And it's low stakes. Thank you for recognizing that. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to sign in. You don't have to like say yes. You just do it on your own terms. And the very first one was something like, hey, if you've never used AI, here's the different tools. And, one of my favorite things to do when I'm showing people AI is, go into ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever and ask for 10 fictitious idioms. And ChatGPT actually does a really good job. And you get these like really funny idioms, and it explains it. And I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. So then I parlayed that into this AI challenge where the next one was generating images. Yeah. And we had a sharing mechanism at FLCC where when you came up with your idioms, you could pick one or two and share them with other people, because we wanted to show that like, hey, we're all in this together. Like, it doesn't matter. You might think that you missed the boat, but we're all in this together. And the same thing with the images. And then it just kind of scaled up from there, and the president saw it, and he's like, hey, Dave, like we're starting to really look at AI. And our president and the board, they gave a $100,000 grant for the AI initiative.
Cool.
And They've been, full-throated support. Yeah, it's been awesome. And so they were like, you want to, do more of this? And I was like, yeah. So I've been, it's just like pedal to the metal since then. But the AI challenge is free. It doesn't cost you anything. MCC, not because I, and will work there because Katie works there, but we give it away to institutions for free. And we just think that it's really important to get people to engage and use AI in ways that maybe you don't know that you can use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do I get this, Amanda? Why did you not share this with me?
Too late, Ben.
Sorry, you missed the boat.
Yeah, you'll have to wait until next year. You can also, and one of the things that's nice about it is we publish them online as well in real time. Mm-hmm. So if you go to aichallenges. To the website, let's see, aichallenges.org/MCC, you can see all the different challenges that we've done. And I think we're doing 10 because you end in 2 weeks. Yep. So you'll be able to do those 10. Now, and it's the emails are roughly the same as that.
No, that's fine. That was my second question is like, can I go and is there a backlog of these somewhere that I can
Yeah.
work on? So I like that. Thank you. I'm saving, I'm bookmarking it right now.
Awesome. And it's and we give that away to any institution or any organization that wants it, and we'll set up like a special sandbox so they can do the sharing if they want.
That's fun.
Okay.
And it's been a lot of fun, and it gets a lot of traction. And not we have more than 10 challenges, so whatever 10 come to MCC are the ones that Katie has kind of chosen or said, Dave, you choose them. So
Very fun.
Yeah, I was thinking about looking up the idioms and getting some fun stuff back, and it was reminding me of some of my former students, because we talked about our favorite students. I think that was one of the episodes that just
that's the
released
one. Yeah.
recently.
Yep.
Yeah, they because I keep in touch with some of them, and they were telling me that they were at their transfer institution, had to solve an engineering problem. They asked ChatGPT for the most ridiculous solutions, and it gave like a whole bunch of just nonsensical stuff for them to try. I wish I could remember some of the examples, but yeah.
I think it's actually a potent learning lesson too, because you always want those counterfactual examples anyhow, and AI is great at generating those. But because you're still engaging with it, and you're like, oh well, maybe this would work, or maybe let me figure out why it might work, or let me figure out what the holes in this logic are. So I think that's going to be the next challenge, Ben. The challenge number 10 is going to be the counterfactual challenge.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, because like I don't really think AI was on my radar like a year or two ago. I think I remember we were in a physics class and we had to do a system of equations, and I'm like, we're just going to go use whatever system of equation solver that we typically use. And one of my students was like, oh, let's do ChatGPT. And I was like, okay, sure. And so like we got it up, we plugged in the two equations, and it immediately screwed up. But this was like a year and a half ago, just immediately screwed up the algebra. And so I was like never really on my radar. And I used to kind of think when we're looking at like what's happening in an English class or anywhere that students are writing an essay, that like if what you're asking students to do can be replaced by AI, then you need to like rethink about what and how you're assessing. Like, what does it actually matter? What are you looking at students to do? Because if it can't just be about writing the paper anymore, it's got to be about something, the structure, or I don't know, right? But like that's kind of where we're at. And in the past year or so, it's become a lot more robust to the point where it's actually starting to do accurate code.
It's bonkers.
It is.
Bonkers.
It's I'm like now at that point where I'm like, I feel bad for all of the stuff that I've said. And like, but like, how do we make sure that in this space that students are still actually understanding the basics without having to like just quiz them in class? Like, does understanding the basics even matter anymore? Like those are kind of two open-ended questions for somebody who does a lot of AI in also teaching computer science and coding. Like, where are we at with that?
I have answers to that question that just, and I'm sure you do too. It sounds like you've been doing a lot of thinking about it. That just like run the gamut, you know. And part of me, and I want to just kind of do some level setting. I think in 2 years we're not going to go to conferences of like AI and education. It's just going to be like an education conference. AI will be. It's not. It's part of what we do now. It's in the fabric. Right. So we're not going to be calling it out anymore. So like we don't go to conferences for like AI and computers or like AI and the internet or education and the internet. So I think
that's really a good analogy.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, like there's all these other transformative, and this technology feels different. And I think the reason it feels different is because it's a directionless technology. So when you think of say Microsoft Word, everyone does relatively the same thing with Microsoft Word, or when you use Outlook, everyone's doing the same thing. But with AI, if you ask 100 people how they're using AI, you'll get 110 different answers. And so it's more of a concept of a technology than it is like software or hardware. It's something we haven't really wrestled with before. And I think that's part of the moral panic about this is, well, we don't understand it and what's going to happen. So I will say this for learners, and this is probably the best takeaway, that at least in my opinion, there's two brothers that write books, Chip and Dan Heath, and one of their sayings is resistance is often mistaken for lack of clarity, and so when you see people doing things, it might not be because they're rebellious or because they're trying to like buck the system. It's probably, there's good chance it's because they don't understand the guardrails and the boundaries. So one of the best things, and if you talk to learners, they'll say the same thing about AI. Some of them will be like, I can't use it because like my teacher says I can use it, but I don't want to be in violation of the policy or the
Mhm.
student code of conduct. So I think part of that is just a very clear articulation for that. And oftentimes that's granular. It's at the macroscopic level, or the microscopic level, like each assignment. So I think that's one thing that we as educators can do. And Ed Beck out of Oneonta made this great thing. I don't, maybe you can put this in the show notes. It's called the AI policy generator. And you
Okay.
just go to the website and you click on it. And actually, if you go to the FLCC website, flcc.ai, you can see it, flcc.ai, and then just click on resources. And you just like pick your portion. You're like, this is for the assignment. And then it's like, here's 6 ways you can use it. And you just click on the ones that are allowed. And then it generates like an image, and you can just put that image right in your assignment. And it generates the alt text as well for
Oh.
accessibility. Yeah.
Nice.
So
We're getting to that point a little bit. I think I saw
good.
recently in a Chairs Network that there's like, here's the different levels of an assignment where AI use. So like level 0 is like no AI, level 4 is like go ahead and do whatever you want, like somewhere. So there's going to be a document coming out soon, Amanda, I think.
Oh, I went to that presentation a couple weeks ago. It was really good.
Oh, nice. Good.
It was really good.
A lot of schools are doing that too, and at least getting like a basic framework. My only word of caution is like there is no such thing as no AI. If you're using Grammarly or Outlook, like there's AI in there.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to have a red light. I think they call it like a traffic light system where there is no AI, or like all bets are off, use whatever AI you want. So and Ben, I feel like I've maybe wandered away from your question a little bit, and that's a little intentional because I have no idea what the right answer is. But I do think that when we're dealing with learners, and this is redefining what we're able to do with technology. So and I don't want to be glib about it. I don't want to say, well, we can't undercut the fundamentals, because you still need to understand the fundamentals. But I think, and this might be a good example, I don't know if this anecdote will transfer to other domains, but when I talk about this vibe coding class that we're teaching next semester, and so vibe coding for your listeners out there is when you make software. It could be an app or a website or whatever. When you make software just using how you normally use AI, just like typing things in, and it makes an app for you, and you're like, oh, well, can you change the colors? And it changes the colors. So you need to know nothing about coding. And so you might look at that and superficially say, well, yeah, you don't need to know anything about coding anymore. And that might be true, but I'm looking at this as a great opportunity, and I'm not hoping that computer science majors sign up for this. I'm really hoping that non-computer science majors sign up for this as a great elective. Like, you can come to FLC and take Word, Excel, PowerPoint, or you can take vibe coding. So I'm hoping that this will take off. But this is a great opportunity for me to say, like, listen, folks, like, coding is really, it's just syntax, and that's not the beautiful part. That's the stumbling block. If you can think of things and you can understand the flow and you can understand the looks, that's what AI helps you do. So I'm able to inject all the actual computer programming parts in the course without having them get stuck on the where do you put the semicolon, or why do I need a square bracket instead of a curly bracket? So this is a good opportunity for me to talk about, like, when you're making a website, you need to have the HTML, which is the content. You need to have the CSS, which is how it looks, the fonts and the colors, and you need to have the JavaScript, which is, the interactive parts on the website. And I think this will free up a lot of time for me to be able to do that and teach people. And hopefully by the time, after 15 weeks, if I've done my job, they'll be really confident in their ability to understand how to do the code, where it goes, how do you make sure it's secure, like how do you test it, how do you, and so I think this is really going to potentiate what we do and make it a little bit better, because they won't have to learn about the semicolons. And if it can be translated to your domains, then great. If it can't, then it sucks to be you. I don't know.
Yeah, well, because the class that I teach is like part Excel, part Python, then part robotics. So like you need to understand.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, actually. We just had our competition yesterday where our students they have all their robots, they've done all the code, it's moving around a board, following colored lines, picking up pucks, launching them through a gate that's opening and closing. So it's really great to watch. But like the programming language for the robots is not something that actually exists like in the AI span yet, because it's like a whole different syntax that exists. But like it does Python really well. And like I had my first instance where it was very clear that somebody went to ChatGPT and like asked it to write code for them. And I'm just like, Cool. Can you still explain it to me though? Because like that's the flow part is I try to
Yeah.
teach like these are the pieces of it, right? This is how it all fits together and that's what's important for me. And I want you to be able to explain that. So like my assignments for them, like I have them submit their code, but then I also have them go through and explain it like they're kind of teaching it and like what the general flow of it is. But AI can write that now too. So it's just like, like where do we know to make sure that they get an idea of what that flow is?
And Amanda, I'm actually curious about how you do this, but I just want to share real quick that so the Turing test is the test like if you're talking to an entity and you couldn't tell the difference between if it was a human or, and I kind of think, Ben, what you're describing is an opportunity for like the human Turing test where you talk to that learner after they've done it, after they've presented their robot and said, okay, well, I noticed it had this kind of like algorithm, like talk to me about why you chose to do that. And kind of like, do you care if they learned it from using AI, if they learned it from the textbook, if they learned it from AI, or do you just care that they learned it and can explain it? And I don't know
the latter part. It's the latter part. No, I mean, like I don't care if it comes from AI. But I want them to, because I'm the kind of person that when I was in college, I'll admit, like I used to look up solutions to homework assignments because like sometimes, yeah, right, like sometimes like the textbook isn't clear. Sometimes like examples or problems at the end are very different than the content that's being covered. But I am the kind of person that also wraps my head around the big picture, so that way I can walk away from that problem and explain it from like start to finish, like to anybody that I need to. I just, so I'm fine with them using it as a tool. I actually have used it to put together some assignments because I wanted to make our coding more robust. So like I wrote a whole like thing on like classes, methods, objects, like which we had touched on in the robotics section, but I did a whole part in Python. But all of the textbooks that I look at, it's like, let's create a class for a car. And like the methods are make and model. Or like, let's create a class for like pet. And then it's like, and I'm like, I want something engineering focused. This is an engineering class. So I asked the code to do it for me and it did. And I got some great examples and like I built them in and we unpacked them together. So
being an instructional designer, I would never be an instructional designer again unless I could use AI. It is, and I use Claude for my instructional design. It's out of this world. And it's just like you said, you can resurface dumb exampals with really relevant examples, and then you get your self-determination theory in there too with like the relevance and the competence. But Amanda, as we're talking, like, I kind of want, like, I love asking, like, where do you sit on this? Like, what do you think about AI and how you can use it? Or
So I teach geology, and I've been wrestling with this a lot this semester. So I teach a lot of online classes, and so it's all well and good to tell a student who's standing in front of you, explain why you did this, and it's something very different when a student writes something online, and then you're like, well, can you explain this? And then they take that question, they put it into Chat GPT, and then they have an answer. So I think it's complicated. I'm actually at a point right now where I'm really rethinking, and I think this is something that got embedded in one of our questions that is still super relevant. Like, so in survey classes, students take survey classes and general education classes because they have to take a science class. And it's geology is a class that is super heavy. When you were talking about this, it made me think about this in
I see what you did
terminology. There. Yeah. So like, so where you were talking about code is just syntax, like terminology is just stuff to know to be able to explain the cool stuff, right? So I have up until now given like pretty standardized looking tests. Like there's diagrams, there's multiple choice questions, there's matching questions, there's short answer, right? And I feel confident, especially because my students are on the computer to take the class anyway, that a lot of them are using AI. And I can absolutely see that in like their write-ups. And so I have a policy that's like, that right now is kind of it's a cop-out policy, I'll be honest. It's like, you can use AI if you talk to me about it and we talk about how you're going to use it.
I don't think that's a cop-out. I think that's the right thing to do.
Well, and so, but I'll say that I gave a test. Actually, no, I just gave it was an opinion paper. It was, we looked at the Love Canal story, and I asked, all right, so here's the story, here's what happened, here are all the players. Who do you think bears responsibility for these like childhood birth defects? And I would say like more than 50% of the students like had the same answers because they put the question into ChatGPT, and it was like, no, but this is an opinion question. Like, tell me what
It's
you think.
heartbreaking, right?
Yes. So,
And
yeah, that's my struggle.
and maybe the assignment, I'm just
Please.
spitballing here, so this could be a really bad idea, but maybe the assignment is have a 20 prompt exchange with
Yes.
AI about your opinion and submit that, because then you see the
Yes.
thinking. And I don't know that, like, I that's not my idea. Plenty of other people have presented stuff,
Sure.
but this is an inflection point, and
Yeah.
there's two books I highly recommend. One is called The Opposite of Cheating, by David Redinger and Trisha Bertram Gallant, and they were basically, it's an instructional design book that's kind of like masquerading as an AI book, and it's basically like, well, maybe if, and Ben, this goes back to like your question, like maybe if we're asking to write a 5-paragraph essay, maybe we're asking for people to take there's no relevance there. In the other book, that in the second edition just came out, was called Teaching Effectively with ChatGPT by Dan Levy and Angela Perez Albertos. And the first half is like these monster prompts that educators use. And the second half of the book are like all these ways learners are using AI. And I think what we'll find in the next year, maybe 18 months, is the dust settles, we're going to find some best practices of like the things people are doing to embrace AI, as opposed to like be, and I see that too when people just like copy and paste my Python problem into ChatGPT and get an answer. I'm like, oh, like,
Yeah.
like what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
So it's just heartbreaking, because they're like, I love Python.
Right.
Why don't you love Python?
Yeah, and like I am not an online instructor who likes the idea of surveillance. So I don't have my students, right? Like I don't have them recorded while they're taking a test. Like I have things timed, but anyway, I want to make sure that I'm authentically assessing them, really.
Yeah. And I think that's the key. So the question is like, okay, so now how can we do that? And and I think we're starting to see some really innovative ideas for that.
So oddly enough, so I'm in grad school right now, and I had to redesign a unit a couple of weeks ago, actually a whole class, to integrate basically STEAM education into my physical geology class. That was the assignment. And
that's awesome. That sounds great.
Well, what was really cool is I used AI to do it. And I was like, design some projects that, and it was cool because it was all about, I infused sustainability. So there was like, I was like, I really want to make sure that there is an authentic local context. And so it pulled like things from the Rochester Climate Sustainability Plan and like the Finger Lakes Climate Action Plan. And it was like, use these things to look at carbon sequestration in soils in the Finger Lakes. Like it was authentic and it was cool. And I was like, all right, so if I can think about not necessarily, so your question, Ben, like, do the basics even matter anymore? I think, like that's a way to, like, the basics are demonstrated, or understanding for the basics are demonstrated in the product that you create. So I think we need to think about students as more of creators and less of checking a box that they know these 5 definitions and how to do these 7 types of problems, I think.
Yeah, but like assessing creativity becomes like a challenge.
Well, you
like,
can use something that's AI to make a rubric.
Gosh. And because creativity is so multidimensional, it looks different in everyone, and people.
Who defines it?
Yeah. There is I think there's a podcast called like Teaching with Creativity, and it's run out of UB, and they just had a great episode on about that.
That's fun.
I'll see if I can look that up.
That's really cool.
Okay.
That's very cool.
Yeah, because I mean, we're talking about this because what you were saying, like when you have students that will use like AI to write their Python assignments, and I'm just like, it is heartbreaking, and I'm just like, you're gonna struggle so much later if you don't like have a grasp of what's going on with the basics now, because like you will run into a situation where you either need to assess why something's not working, right, or like AI is not gonna be able to do it for you.
And that's. I don't know what that looks like, but I know it's approachable. Like we can get there. We just have to understand it a little bit more. And that podcast is called Fueling Creativity in Education with Dr. Cindy Burnett and Dr. Matthew Warwood. So if you're interested in creativity, which I think you are, you might enjoy it. And the most recent one was about world building in education, which in game-based learning was really, really good.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
The other thing that like the conversation was making me think about is like, writing's done. Like writing, like we're kind of done with writing at this point.
Oh
Like teaching,
God. People
but I
around the
think that's
globe
like
are
the
crying right now.
I know, but I think that's the direction
All
that if
9
we're
of our
thinking about two
users
years in the
are
future,
racist.
yeah. Well, because I mean, I use it for things that I don't have a lot of time for, like, or things that are very repetitive. Like I write a lot of recommendation letters, a lot of
Sure.
recommendation letters. And like sometimes they're very like I have in the past taken an old recommendation letter, changed the name, and then changed some of the details, but kept like the structure of like the
Yeah,
three
sure.
paragraphs. Because, but yeah, like students just kind of repeat every once in a while. But like I put in those specifics, and so like this past year, I've used AI to like create a scaffold for recommendation letters because it saves me so much time to do that and then fill in some key details and anecdotes that are like personal rather than like spending an hour writing everything from scratch.
Yeah, and I your example actually has a great insight in AI. So, and I used to do the same thing. When I was teaching high school, you do an awful lot of letters recommendation
Hmm.
for college. And I would take an existing one. I was like, oh yeah, Trevor was great. And then I have like Joe, he's a lot like Trevor.
Hmm.
But still you're going in and you're engaging with it, you're changing
Yeah.
things, you're still customizing it. And that's the kind of key. So we say that at FLC, we say like co-create, don't abdicate. So when we should be, that's just a gentle reminder that we're using it in tandem and like we're still, the onus is still on us. And we have some other pithy sayings like no pie in the sky, and the PII is the pie, the personally identifiable information. So we kind of have these like high altitude guardrails that are kind of dumb, but they rhyme, whatever. But yeah, and that's kind of the educational part is you have to let
Hmm.
people understand that like there are appropriate times. And sometimes when I'm using AI, so I use Claude for instructional design, I use Gemini for coding, and I use ChatGPT for kind of day-to-day things. Although I haven't really been using ChatGPT since Gemini 3 came out because it is bonkers good, and Claude is by far the most conversational. Anyhow, so I'm using these different tools, and I'm finding that there's all these different ways to use them. And in some of the courses that I teach an ed tech class for future
Hmm.
educators, and I have them try
That's
them
cool.
all, and there is no favorite. People just have their own favorite and they have reasons why they like their own favorite. I'm like, all right,
Hmm.
that's kind of cool. Because then that shows me that there is no right answer. Like there still is humanity and like the judgment and
That's cool.
understanding the technology.
So, speaking of
Yeah.
Gemini 3, have you played around with Nano Banana Pro at all yet?
Oh my. So yes,
See?
Nano Banana Pro,
See, Ben, I'm
their
so
image generator.
cool. Sorry, yes. Go
It,
ahead.
it is It is scary how good it is, and maybe this is another good case for AI and literacy is understanding. And so I have a twin brother who is a computer science
Oh,
major.
wow.
He's gonna kill. I'm actually in his basement right now recording this, so I hope he doesn't hear this. But he's been in technology his whole life, and we were at my dad's the other day, and we were watching some video on YouTube, and I could identify it instantly as AI.
Yeah.
I was like, 1000% that is a Sora video,
Yeah.
Sora 2, and people tried to like hide the watermarks. And my brother's like, really? This is AI? And I was floored because my brother is like so smart with
Hmm.
technology. And so that's scary
Yeah.
to me. So Nano Banana 2, which is awesome and does great text and it does infographics
Yeah.
but like I think it's just a harbinger of disinformation. Like there is no truth anymore. That being said, I love it. And there's so many uses. I've used it in my courses
Oh,
already, and it's
really?
only been out for a few. Oh my goodness, yeah.
That's cool.
So the infographics are great. It does fantastic slides. There are some accessibility issues because when it does
Yeah.
text, like it doesn't like that's a problem. Uh, but also just I've been using VO3, which is their video
Oh,
generator,
okay.
and which is also awesome. And you can give VO3 an image. So I took an image of someone I know, and I said, "Hey, to Nano Banana." I was like, "Hey, can you convert this to a claymation elf? For the season, for the
Fun.
holidays." And it did.
Fun.
And then I took that image and put it up to VO3 and gave it a prompt, and it did a video for that. So,
Wow.
uh, yeah, it's just bananas. And I'm sure there's some educational uses for Nano Banana as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like one thing that I hate is when learners go to like iStock and will right click on an image and put it in a presentation. I'm
Yeah.
like, you don't need to do that
True.
anymore. You can
Yeah, that's true.
customize whatever image. Like
Hmm.
B-roll footage is dead. Stock photos are dead.
Yeah.
We can do
I,
it better.
I actually did that where I had for our banners that we have up for the department, like I had a blurry picture of one of the robots and I wanted to put like student projects and stuff on there. I threw it into AI and asked it to just clean it up and get rid of the background, and it did. Like it looks great. It's
Sweet.
on the poster. So
Was that ChatGPT or is
it
that
was ChatGPT.
okay?
Yeah.
Have you tried Nano Banana yet?
I have not. This is the first time I'm hearing about it. And like one of the ways of using it, like as you mentioned that, I'm thinking about, because I do like an Excel class and stuff like that. If we're looking at like having to assess things for accuracy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's part of like a critical thinking type situation where students have to then check or like follow up on resources for things that they find. Like it might be worth, like you could use that to maybe create some incorrect information infographics and then have some students go through and try and identify like what is correct, what's incorrect based on like resources that are
Sure.
out there.
Yeah. There's I think the possibilities are endless with the
Yeah.
ability to create these high fidelity images.
Yeah. But I think writing's done. I think we're done with writing. No more budget reports. Like
So,
I'm
but
thinking about how my students would use it like out in the engineering field, right? Where like you have to write requests, you have to write grants to go do like to get money to do things or like convince people that like your product is worth like creating or that it's going to work or that kind of thing. And I think that's where the co-create, like don't abdicate kind of comes in a little
nice.
bit is how are we working with students to engage with it, but then still make sure they're doing a little bit of creativity and work on their own.
Yeah, and one of my other pithy sayings, like when AI is done, you begin. You know, once it spits out, that's when you put your spin on it. And one of the other things about Nano Banana, one of my prompts is, you know, something about, and I'm not going to give you the whole prompt, but it was like illustration of a heart with blank boxes where people have to label, and I was like, here's the 10 things I want you to label. And so now I'm like, oh, well, OER textbooks are no longer hard to make. We can make OER content in Creative Commons because you can't copyright this AI images anyhow. So it used to be really like, can you imagine making a human anatomy and physiology textbook? You'd need to get an illustrator. You need to find all these images, but now we could just have, and, you know, and there are a lot of negative downsides to this. But in fact, we'll be doing a webinar series from FLCC starting in January, and the first one is about bias. But there's a lot of good that can be had too. So I don't know how to square that circle.
I like that.
Yeah.
Hey, can you tell us about your initiative and insights program?
Yeah, so thanks for asking. That is so I'm going to circle back to Dr. Nye, who's our president and the board, gave $100,000, and it was more of a venture capital mentality. They're like, listen, folks, we're going to throw a lot of spaghetti against the wall. You have $100,000 to do it.
Fun.
Whatever. We know things aren't going to stick. Yeah, it's you never see that in education. It was really visionary, and this was about 18 months ago. So that enabled us to go to conferences. It enabled us to buy licenses to software that enable us to really get some time to experiment, and it's been fantastic. And I think one of the if I could impart some wisdom to just other institutions for like things that we did that I think worked was we had to have that money. You don't need to have that much money. In fact, we haven't spent all that money, but you do need to have that top-down support, and it needs to be a bottom-up exploration. So, and there was a report from MIT that came out in late June, or late July, early August, called this Gen AI Divide: The State of AI in Business. And their findings were basically like, you cannot dictate a tool. If you are the leader of an organization, you need to let the people who are using the tools figure it out. So, and we happen to be in that position. So we had top-down support, and then our first step was really just kind of saying like, let's explore it. And then step two was in every institution has these like mavericks who will go out and latch on to everything. And so they would do presentations, and we had a lot of space where we had like workshops every Thursday, or we had during opening days. And then the mavens were the people who are sitting there like, oh, that, so we call it the mavericks and mavens. So that just like organically emerges. And you know, I can think Lindsay, who was sitting there, she's looking at Notebook LM. She's like, oh my gosh, like I could use that in what I do. And I was like, that's what we want. So now she's a functional expert in Notebook LM, only because she saw it, and I love Notebook LM. Was able to, it's unbelievable. And then step three is kind of like, now we're starting to like diverge. So we're experimenting, but we're setting up those guardrails, and those are those pithy sayings like the co-create, don't abdicate. So we set up those guardrails so that people could experiment, and we're like, listen, folks, like we know a lot of things are going to fail, but that's okay. And that whole failure mindset, you hardly ever see that in higher ed either. And then we kind of codified, and we're in the convergent phase right now, where we're starting to kind of operationalize all our findings and share that out. But I would suggest if you're in a place where you're not sure, AI is going to be important in your organization, you don't know how, let the people who need to use those tools use it. Let them use whatever tools they need, and then worry about the converging on a solution. Another thing is it really needs to be a culture. You're building a culture, and UNESCO actually published their findings not too long ago. It was called, what was it called? The AI and the Future of Education, Why AI Readiness is About Culture, Not Code. And I think that was a really key insight as well. You need to have that top-down support. You need to have it's okay to experiment and fail, but we'll get there. And part of it is because it's a directionless technology. Like you're using it differently than I'm using it, differently than everyone else. So those are our insights, and we like sharing that with other organizations.
So our invitation, at MCC, we do a Winter Teaching Institute, and then every other year we have a June.
Which I think is important to let your listeners know. It is robust. Like I hardly see something that robust in other institutions.
So the list of topics came out for January at the Winter Teaching Institute today. And I want to say that out of like maybe 15 offerings, like 12 were about AI, how people are using AI. It's really cool.
And I think we kind of had the same thing during opening days, and if you count on the like agenda, I was like, there's 22 AI sessions, and there's a lot of people who are rolling their eyes like, oh, I'm being beaten over the head. So I think a good way to couch that, I was like, but that just means there's 22 people who are really excited about sharing what they're doing. And I think that kind of rephrasing helps, because you're right, it's inescapable.
It's a lot right now, I will be honest. Like I saw that, right?
It
was like, ooh.
Yeah, I'm committed to doing something though. Like I want to incorporate it into at least my programming classes, and I want to be intentional about the way that we're using it and making use of it.
And if you're coding, ChatGPT is the worst of the three.
True?
Yeah, that's fair. Good to know. Good to know.
Gemini 3 is just unbelievable. And up until Gemini 3, I've been using Claude, and I thought Claude was untouchable, but Gemini 3 is right now the best in show.
I'm gonna ask a question that just shows how much I don't pay attention to this, but is like, what's the one that's through Google?
It's Gemini.
That's Gemini. Yep.
That's Gemini. That's what I've used. So because I have like kind of done it through Google and have it done that way. So I'm not actually using ChatGPT for any of the Python stuff. It has been Gemini because I've done it through Google.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's fun.
This was great. Thanks.
Yeah, this was a really good conversation.
Like, yeah, I'm thinking like as we're kind of closing out here, right? Like any kind of big takeaways in terms of like how we make sure that we're helping students use AI in a way that's going to like empower them rather than just like something they rely on too heavily.
I think we're in a position at college, and I've always thought this about college, like when people come to college for the first time, they are excited to escape the shackles. And I was a K-12 teacher, and I was on the board of ed, so like I get it. It's a different, like the world is your oyster. So if we can capture people at that moment, so I think a lot of colleges, and we're starting to do this, is like see if you can get there in orientation and listen, see what their fears are, see how they're using it, and then just work with them. You have to be consistent and have those listening sessions and those teaching sessions, those available, because otherwise you just have a tool that knows how to use. And ChatGPT actually just released 100 prompts that college students are using AI, and that's kind of interesting to kind of like peek through. But yeah, it's just like listen to them, but also educate them, and that might not be you in your course. That might need to be an institutional thing.
Yeah, I think it will be a little bit me and my class. This is one of their first semester classes they take, so I think it's probably going to be a conversation that we'll have.
Yeah, and I think every educator should have that conversation with their learners.
So Dave, if you and I were back in the vital spot in the year 2000 in Geneseo, and you were talking to that version of Dave, what would you tell him? What advice would you give him?
For AI?
Anything in general. This is Amanda's like favorite question to ask at the end of our episode for her.
I think it would go back to failure for me.
That's great.
and I think we've become really scared of failure. And the places where I'm kind of rejuvenated is when I'm teaching programming. And Ben, I don't know if you see this, but there's these micro failures. Like when you're in class, in English class, I remember this. People call on me all the time. I'd be like, "Oh my God, I'm so stupid. I don't know," or I wouldn't raise my hand because I don't know the answer. But when you're programming, you can have these micro failures because no one's looking at your screen, and it's okay. And I'm like, oh, I wish we could do that on a bigger scale. And there's been an awful lot of research about failure and how, in resilience, and it makes us a little bit better. But when I was at the Vital Spot in Geneseo in the 1900s, I was scared of just sounding stupid. And now that I know I'm very privileged to stand in front of a classroom, but whenever someone asks me a question, I'm like, if I don't know the answer, I'm like, I don't know. Like, let's figure it out. 100%. And so by modeling that, I'm hopeful that people can just kind of embrace failure. It's kind of been an area of interest for me lately.
Really great.
I do that with my students regularly because we had brand new robots this semester. And so like, I don't know what ways they're going to screw up yet. So like, it's like, we're going to like, you're going to do something like something's wrong. And I was like, we're going to have to sit down and figure this out together because I have no idea what's going on.
And it's exhilarating.
It is.
It is fun.
I made a whole troubleshooting assignment for them. Like I was just like, there's like 3 things wrong in this code. Like, let's find it. How do we do that?
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. And AI, by the way, can help you do that too. Like I'll run my code through AI and be like, put 6 errors in here, and then I can give that to my Python learners, and they can.
That's awesome.
I think we all have homework. At least I do.
Yeah. New year, new resolution.
Yeah, you can't AI wrong. Just like just do it.
Do it.